Welcome to the Vernon Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Vernon. Hope everybody's having a good morning. As per usual, got any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat below. We'll get to you throughout the stream. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe button for all the latest LSU news. We'll be back at practice tomorrow, final practice of the spring period. We'll get all of our, last visualizations in. Today, the transfer portal opens. We'll give you the rundown where LSU should be focusing on, if they have any potential worries, and then we'll do our recruiting class update. I got a couple of people that I think will impact LSU very, very quickly. Freshmen that we just signed from the 2025 class. A couple of new names here. The future is bright for the Tigers. Let me share this on Facebook as per usual. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. YouTube and Facebook. Let's talk about these practice notes. So yesterday, we went into the football ops, did our usual look around. We saw a couple of things for you. One of the first things that I want to note, Colin Hurley back at practice. Obviously, that's big. Everybody has been, wondering where Colin Hurley has been, how the recovery has been. When the wonder no longer, he's back on campus. He's back in the quarterback room. LSU has their full room back. And this is big because you've seen Juwan Johnson move. You see Michael Van Buren try to make his presence be felt in that room. The more the merrier. The more options you have, the better. LSU's not going to have to go into a panic mode next year when Nussmeier leaves for the NFL draft and go back to the portal and do all these different things. The future's bright. The quarterback room is full. And I mean, look, Van Buren's a great option. That's my opinion. I do think Michael Van Buren will be a good piece, but it's always good to have more pieces in this situation. It's always good to be a long-term focused team because Michael Van Buren right now feels like somebody you can throw out there as a backup today if Nussmeier got hurt. Colin Hurley feels like the guy that you're putting all the eggs on. I'm like, okay, dude, this is the future. This is the guy. Obviously, things are going to have to play out how they will, but this is going to allow for a lot of things. Another thing that it'll allow for is Juwan Johnson's going to be able to play more of that focused running back role. And maybe some people aren't going to be thrilled with it, but with what we saw in the spring game, I think there's a lot of room for that. And also what you saw last year, people are talking about, the run game wasn't creative enough. This wasn't creative enough. Well, this is how you answer those questions. This is how you prevent things like that from bothering you and from stopping you from getting the big wins that you need to punch your playoff ticket. You can, put Joe Sloan in the box or on the field, wherever he wants to watch his game. He's got a multitude of backs to call from. You got Caden Durham, who wasn't at practice yesterday. I wanted to note that. And we've got some roles increasing here with guys like Caleb Jackson, with guys like Harlan Berry. Then the question is to be asked about a JT Lindsay or, even someone like a Malachi Lane. But I think that you could see a variety of things in that room. Let's say, hypothetically, they line up Aaron Anderson in the backfield and do some handoffs to him, or we've seen a split back formation every now and then where Nussmeier's in the middle and he's got one on each side of him. You've got Caden Durham on one side and you've got, Xavier Thomas on one side. You got Aaron Anderson on one side. You could put a lot of pieces here. You could put Juwan Johnson right there and then run that little read option wildcat split where Nussmeier moves to the slot, moves outside, and then Juwan takes a direct snap and he can either hand it off to a running back or keep it and go in the end zone and he ain't going to get knocked down. There's a lot of things that LSU's offense can do. And another thing I want to note, the more you can do in the short field, the more you can run, the more you can do quick dump off passes, the more you can pass screens. That opens up the field for the long pass, for the vertical pass, for, Nussmeier's gunslinging looks that everybody wants. If you can handle the short field and get the defense on the balls of their feet, kind of like all nervous, like, oh shit, what's about to happen? We don't know. We're guessing. We don't know what's coming next. And you just keep them confused. You keep a balanced approach. You do that through running the ball. You do that through developing, and then you can inevitably pass the ball downfield and get Garrett Nussmeier those air yards that you've been waiting on. I want to talk about the offensive line real quick because the running back success, the run game success, it's going hand in hand with how they're going to be able to translate this offensive line, the new pieces, the new faces, all these new rotations that we're seeing. At practice, we saw them running some type of run fits with running backs, trying to get them to run and block and get them, opening holes smoothly for them and having the running backs run with them as well. I think that's a big boost because you're going to want to be able to get these guys comfortable together. It's one thing to have the 5 offensive linemen get on sync and then, be able to block against the 5 defensive linemen. But now you're in a situation where you're going to have them open up holes for specific backs who do specific things. Some guys are going to go inside. Some guys are going to go outside. Some guys are faster than others. Some guys want contact, this, that, the other. There's a variety of things that they're going to have to get used to. Also, for the running backs, it's not as simple as just getting the ball and running. You got to know what gap to run through, when the gaps are open, when the gaps are closed, what to do if your gap closes and you weren't expecting it to happen. It's a variety of things that they're going to have to address. And that's where it gets interesting, right? That's where you start to wonder how deep can some of these players' roles get in this running back room. Like a Caleb Jackson, obviously he could be a big lead back piece. Quite frankly, in the situation we're watching right now where Caden Durham's not at practice, who's the bell cow right now? Who's RB1 right now? It's Caleb Jackson. And I think that's a situation that can secure his position at LSU. I mean, that I wouldn't hop in the portal if you're Big 28, because even if Caden Durham is 100% healthy all season long, you're going to get your touches. You're going to get your reps. You're a good addition to the scheme in your own specific, unique way. You're a power back. You'll run through 30 people like a bowling ball, and a lot of people are going to be missing teeth trying to tackle you. But switch it over to the Harlem Berry side, you've got a whole different type of back that you could use in a whole different type of ways, very similar to what we were talking about with the short field set. We'll get to that in a little bit with the recruiting class segment. Let's talk DBs real quick. For cornerbacks, Mansour Delane, obviously, lights out. Been playing well. I think this is one of your pieces that a lot of people expected to be a starter, especially upon his arrival whenever he got here. I think at first, everybody was wondering where he would fit, because he's one of those DBs that could do a variety of things. And LSU was in a spot where they didn't have that safety room figured out. So everybody wanted to know, is number 4, Delane going to slide in a hybrid role? Is he going to be a lot corner? I think that's probably his better spot, a corner. You could put him alongside Ashton Stamps, or at that point, you really can't get it wrong. You can throw DJ Pickett out there. PJ Woolen has had success with him, especially at the spring game. We saw that. There's a lot of pieces. And I feel like there's a possibility with how many corners that you have. You see one more potentially slide over to safety. And the safety position, it's getting figured out day by day. I like Toviano getting implemented into it. I think that's been a successful switch. Tamarcus Cooley has obviously been, a talk of the town here, especially after his transfer from NC State. But I really wouldn't be surprised if one more person moves just to keep that rotation fresh. You got a lot of people that you can lean on in this room. It's insane. I do want to talk about this with the running back. So if, hypothetically speaking, you do have an injury, and then let's say JT Lindsey comes in, he's a freshman, he only has had a fall camp period, he hasn't had the Harlem Berry bowl game, spring practice, spring game, all this stuff, he might not be as ready. If that's the situation, if unfortunately you do run into an injury with the running back, they might have to get creative in the sense where that's when you see Juwan Johnson a lot more. That's when he moves back into that running back role. That's when Zay and Aaron Anderson get into the backfield. I don't know if that's going to be a big focus in the beginning. Maybe just kind of, diversify some things throughout the weeks. There's a potential, though, for a young walk-on named Malachi Lane to earn some playing time as well. I've been kind of watching him throughout practice, talking to him with a couple of people, and at first, he don't really jump out at you until you see the continuous performances, and then you kind of play out the hypothetical situation that we just played out, where you're one back away from being in a situation where you're going to have to go scratch that depth chart again. And it's not the end of the world, but things can turn on a dime, as we saw last year. Let's talk about this recruiting class in terms of 2025 and who you could see on the field very quickly. There's not a lot of pieces, but there's 2 very big names, and we'll start with the obvious one. Ooh. This coming on. Lordy. Hold on one second. Let me fix this right here. Okay. Had to chill out right there. The mic trying to rip my head off, bro. All right. DJ Pickett. It's been one of the names that I've been watching lately. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field. He's the number 1 cornerback in the nation in 2025, and it is damn clear with how fast he's been able to transition here at LSU. A lot of it's going to be the early enrollee period, and that's what we just talked about with Harlem Berry, right? When you come to campus and you get to watch the team go through one of their biggest games of the year in a bowl game, watch the process, watch a spring game, a pro day, all these different things, participate in them, get to kind of get caught up to speed a little faster. That's how you transition like a college athlete and exponentially grow your chances of getting on the field. And DJ Pickett and Harlan Berry both did it. Both put themselves in a situation where, yeah, they were talented enough to be able to earn that role and those reps regardless. But being here, cutting your teeth, getting the mistakes out early, that helps you kind of be ready to be a professional whenever fall camp starts. Whenever it's time to install these lineups, these final schemes, these final rotations, you're ready and you've been in the know. Now, like we said with the rotations, I would guess Mansour Delane is locked. I would guess Ashton Stamps would probably be right next to him. The only other name besides a DJ Pickett that I could see get thrown out there in the second corner spot would be a Jakeem Jackson. And he's had a decent time in spring as well. And I'm not going to, discredit experience and SEC level play and the relationship that Jakeem has had with Corey. So that I think could be something to monitor. But, DJ Pickett's going to be one of those people that I think could he's going to be in a rotation regardless of if he starts or not. I don't think he's going to start this year. I think it's a little too soon. I think you can keep him on the back burner and kind of just develop him in supplemental situations. Your first two guys are going to be Mansour and probably Ashton, like I said. Then DJ Pickett can just get subbed in and out in a variety of situations. Specifically, it don't matter if it's garbage time in a big game or just a team that, is kind of trash and you're beating them. Those are probably going to be the situations where you see him the most with a player like a PJ Woodland or a Michael Turner or an LSU cornerback duo of the future. This is when you're really going to be able to see the defense in their true colors. Honestly, though, just because you don't see DJ start at the beginning of the year doesn't mean he can at the end. There's obviously the injury potential. There's obviously the potential for him to turn out like a damn Derek Stingley and be a lockdown corner that you can't keep off the field. You're going to be able to earn your reps here, and I feel like he's got the tools. The number one drag away that anybody's been able to put on DJ Pickett, and it's the only one I've seen, is the weight issue. And every single time you see him back out there at practice, it looks like he's gained damn near another 5 pounds. I don't think that's going to be a worry at all. You get him in a situation where, his technique is solid and he understands, what the opponent's schemes and route trees are. If he can be in a situation where you give him the tools to succeed, I think he takes them and he takes advantage of it by a mile. Looks like a type of player that I think is going to make the biggest impact out of this class, period, but specifically this year. Another player, Harlan Berry, obviously. Brian Kelly already talked about it. He already said he expects Harlan Berry to see the field a lot as his freshman or in his freshman year. And LSU's not shying away from the fact that if you earn your keep, so to speak, that they'll throw you out there. I mean, look at Caden Durham. Whenever the situations happened with him and his name got called and he popped off, he turned into the lead guy. And now we're here talking about another potential running back doing the same exact thing. Now, we know in that running back room, injuries happen. And that's what happened with Caden Durham exactly, with the John Emery situation. Not saying I want this to happen. It's not what I'm trying to speak into existence, but I'm just saying the running backs get banged up. You get tackled 15, 20 times a game. There's a lot of soreness, a lot of, sprains and bruises and all these different things. There's a potential for somebody to go down and Harlan Berry's role to increase greatly. As of now, we're talking about him seeing the field. No telling what the role goes into by the end of the year. This is somebody that you're definitely going to have to pay ahead of or attention of, because let's talk about this as well. There was 3 guys ahead of who turned out to be running back 1 last year. You had Josh Williams, John Emery, and Caleb Jackson ahead of Caden Durham on the depth chart wise, at least from running back and at least from week 1. And then by the end, a lot transpired, a lot changed, and it just goes to show you never know what can happen by the end of the season. I think Harlan, he's 3 right now, running back 3. He could damn near be the backup by the end of the 2025 class. Could. Got a lot of pieces that are going to be able to be watched. One more that I will talk about from this class that I think could have a big impact, Solomon Thomas. I think he's one of the cornerstone pieces in the offensive line room. You never know with this rotation. With who gets plugged in, who gets plugged out, with how much growing pains they experience, if they're going to have to change anything. Injuries happen as well, obviously. In the offensive line room, injury happens in every single damn position group, even a punter, even a kicker, even a holder. Man, they get some injuries too every now and then. But depth pieces like this are very huge. You could get tossed out at any point. Last year, we saw Paul Mubenga and Tyree Adams get thrown out there when we lost guys like Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier, things of that nature, Emory Jones. So it happens. And sometimes it happens in the most unfortunate situations. So when you got a guy like Solomon Thomas who can get in and get after it, and a lot of people are talking about him playing guard and he's playing tackle, there's a hybrid ability here. There's an ability here for him to play two different things. And if you're playing guard or tackle, as 80% of the damn line, you can fit in, whether it be left or right. Another name I'll put in, just honorable mention, Carius Kern. Same exact future outlook as Solomon Thomas. This could be the future of your O-line room right here with those two pieces. This could be the next Will and Emery. And that's a big, big task to live up to, but I think they'll have a decent shot at doing it. Okay, let's talk LSU baseball real quick. We're going to end it off with the LSU coverage, at least with LSU baseball. We'll talk about transfer portal after this segment, so stay tuned with us here. Gavin Guidry out for season. Unfortunate news. Jay Johnson talked about it yesterday. Everybody's been rumoring it. I mean, the Twitter mentions and all these comments, they've been going crazy talking about how they don't think he's going to be playing, and they hit the nail on the head exactly. Gavin's having a back procedure on Friday. They're rumoring it to be a 3 to 4 month recovery. So who's left in that room? Who's left as pitchers? Who can LSU baseball lean on the mound? I got a whole damn list for you. And these are some of the biggest names. I'm going to alleviate any worry that you potentially have. You got Cade Anderson, Chase Shores, Connor Ware, Will Schmidt, Zach Cowan, and obviously you got others in the pen, Maverick Rizzi, Anthony Ianson, who I think is a very good pitcher, very underrated. Jaden New as well. I got some statistics for you as well. Though Cade Anderson, 9 games played, 3 ERA, 81 strikeouts. Wow. When I saw that, jumped off the page. It's Cade Anderson, your ace by a mile. We'll point out, though, Zach Cowan, 12 game played, 0.8 ERA, 42 strikeouts. Will Schmidt in 11 games, 3.3 ERA, 31 strikeouts. Connor Ware in 11, 4.6 ERA, 21 strikeouts. And Chase Shores, 9 games played, 5 ERA, 41 strikeouts. You got some guys. You can lean on. I know it's tough. You want Gavin Guidry. You want somebody that's had experience and that's been here, been around the block. Hopefully, he's able to recover and get back for us next season, potentially. Unfortunate news, but you still got to move on. Next man up for a reason. They beat McNeese yesterday 10-3, moved on to a 32-6 record, snapped McNeese's 12-game win streak. Next series this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at home versus number 21 Alabama in the box. Bring it. Let's talk about this transfer portal news. So the portal opened today. You got 10 days. If you are a football player that does not like where you're playing football at and you want a new home after spring, you're done. Spring game's over with. I'm done. I'm moving. This is your time to do it. And the man on the screen is the poster child for this as of right now, Nico Emaliev. We will talk about LSU's portal focus first, though. I'm gonna keep it, interesting for y'all, so you don't get snoozed out with the Nico situation. So no news as of yet for LSU's portal. Any additions, any departures, we will keep you updated as that happens, as the days pass. One of the only pieces of news that I saw today was yesterday. LSU hired AD of player personnel, Jai Chowdhury from Ole Miss. I think with the addition of all these NIL, regulations and rules and just these different things that you have to manage, being able to have somebody look over the entire roster and just help assist is very beneficial. You see all these roles pop up along college football, whether it be general manager or this or that. This is one of those type of roles, and I think it's very, I'm not going to say key, but it's a boost, right? The more hands you got on a project, potentially, sometimes, not always, it can be better and it can be more efficient to be able to, handle with that help. It could be a little easier to get some things done when everybody is on the same page and everybody working efficiently towards it. Not much guess on a transfer portal direction for LSU. I think they, for the most part, got everything figured out, especially in that first portal period. When you go in, you get the number 3 class, you take all that Bryce Underwood money and you go clearance shopping. They pretty much got everything they needed. Kelly made a quote on the presser yesterday talking about how he thinks the roster is going to be intact for the most part for what it is. Hopefully, we've got a couple of worries here. I would say maybe you worry about some offensive linemen potentially disgruntled with the way the rotation shakes out or with the way the new addition transfers have, pushed their way around. That could be a potential, worry for LSU if you have to pick one. And obviously you got that crowded wide receiver room. I do think all can be used somehow, though. I think that this, creative mindset for this offensive scheme is going to be what keeps everybody in check. Because think about this. Aaron Anderson, Zay Thomas, both finding a role in the short pass game, both exploring the run sets, both kind of getting plugged and played into that short field set. Now I think you can keep Xavier Thomas engaged. Aaron Anderson's obviously going to have a big role, but you got to keep guys like Zay, like Kyle Parker, pieces like that intact, because One, the depth. The more you got, the better. You don't want to keep trimming the trees here. You don't want to keep losing depth and making your squad shorter. Um, I think there's also a question mark with the amount of shared touches. We're talking about Harlan Berry getting a big role. We're talking about putting wide receivers in the backfield and handing it off to him. That's a big split back situation. And for somebody that's already splitting reps in Caleb Jackson, might not be something he's 100% thrilled on. And I'm not saying it's a big worry, but if I had to say any position LSU needs to watch and LSU fans could see a departure from, I'd rank it O-line, maybe wide receiver room, but they're trying to do really well with getting everybody a role. And then third, we need to keep Caleb Jackson because that's one of the best running backs in college football, period. I know it was a rough season, but I think he's got the flashes in him, and I think he's been able to, get in shape and stay on top of what he's needed to stay on top of. If you can put him in a situation where, look, you tell him, all right, I know it didn't plan out the way you wanted to last year, but we can do this, this, and this, and then we can, we are focused on your success. We're focused on your growth. We're focused on making you one of the best players possible. We're committed to you. I think that's how you keep them because another university would be very blessed to see somebody like that walk through the doors. But what's happening with how his role has been the last week, especially with the Caden Durham injury, it's in the back of his head, I believe, that this is his spot. So hopefully LSU fans don't have to worry. Never know. College football's crazy, especially with guys like this. Nico. So the Nico situation. I just want to point out briefly, we're talking rumors here. This ain't anything other than anything alleged, but the damn NIL value for Nico apparently is just dropping. I think he was getting over $2 million at Tennessee. Now he's rumored to get a damn near $1.5 million, right under $2 million. So good job. The grass ain't always greener, buddy. Now you're not in an SEC school that's very prominent, been on the rise. I think the Big Orange, in terms of volunteers, they've been a squad that's been sneaky in the SEC, but you're not going to be able to be sneaky and win games without a quarterback. And they've been putting in pretty much one of the worst binds they've been putting in a while. Now, there's a lot of rumors. A lot of people are in, a lot of people are out, supposedly. You heard the rumors with Tulane yesterday and the Green Wave. Like, they might not even have been in it from the jump, but Pete Nakos reports that they're out. UNC, one of the biggest spots talked about so far. That would be huge. Bill Belichick would be sitting at the damn poker table. All in, coach. I'm all in. Welcome to college football. Let's go get one of the biggest pieces on the portal right now. That would be huge. Now, I think Nico in a different environment, and I'm not saying he's not SEC ready. He's definitely SEC ready. Beat Alabama. He's in a situation where I think he could lead a team. His statistics, though, obviously didn't jump out at him. It made him look like a top 8-ish quarterback in the SEC. Here's what I'm going to say. If you go to the ACC as a top 8-ish SEC quarterback, you're damn near a top 5 ACC quarterback locked already. Look at their guys. They've got Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, Kevin Jennings from SMU, and then CJ Bailey from NC State. After that, I think Nico slides right in. I think he can, even jump a couple of spots inside that top 5. But regardless of the point, this isn't a horrible quarterback. This is somebody that could turn over someone's team's trajectory. However, what he tried to do and what he tried to leverage, I think that was insane. I think that was crazy. His management team came out and was just talking about how they didn't think they led him in the wrong direction. And, that they just really auditioned, not to blame, but like they weren't taking any accountability for it. But it's on their shoulders. I'm sorry. This is one of those situations where you're just going to sit back and shake your head at college football, what it's turning into. Because moments like this are going to be what alters NIL and the transfer portal for the better, hopefully. But you're watching an alteration of college football as we know it. Other moves, other news. Micah Hudson officially in the portal. Yeah, he's been rumored to be in it, and everybody pretty much knows, but it's official now. Rumors are he's going back to Texas Tech. We'll keep an eye on it. South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez is another big addition to the portal. UNC also sniffing around on that. So if they can't get Nico, they might go get the South Alabama QB. Came to LSU, talented guy. Didn't go to LSU. Sorry, played at LSU in terms of played a game South Alabama versus LSU. Let me clarify that. LA Tech wide receiver Dakotas Crawford enters the portal. They got QBs out the wazoo. I'm not going to lie. I think Tennessee's going to have a easier time replacing their guy than Nico probably and his team initially thought. Welcome to the wild, wild west of college football. It's a lot harder than you think to be able to keep your value. Last topic. Why is Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders on the screen? No, we're not talking about Shadur to the Saints. I'm not going to get y'all hopes up, even though it would be nice. Smash that like button if you want Shadur Sanders on the Saints. Come on. But we're talking about jersey number retirements. We're talking about Colorado hanging up number 12 and number 2 forever. You see Leader L, see D Dog. I hope they got the damn patches on the jersey when they hang them up. But this has been a topic of debate on Twitter for a while. And I'm going to let y'all sound off on it if you want. If you drop your take in the comments on what you think about this, if they should have had their jerseys retired, all this different jazz. I did a couple of minutes of reflecting on this topic, and I saw a tweet by a former LSU player that I thought was very, very impressive. Very, very good logic, sound logic. How does Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes not have their jersey retired, but these two young men are? Now, each university has their own process, and it's up to each school. And we're not simply saying because LSU and Texas Tech aren't doing something that Colorado cannot do it. That's not the thing. It's just the fact that Joe Burrow, Heisman winner, national champion, probably one of the best transfer stories in the damn world, pretty much birthed the situation, and inevitably led a blueprint that Jayden Daniels was able to follow and then go back and get his Heisman, who, by the way, Jayden Daniels doesn't have a jersey retired either. There's a little bit of a lack of achievements or accomplishments here. I mean, if you look at what Colorado did, yeah, Heisman, congratulations. I mean, it's good. I'm not even being sarcastic. Congratulations, genuinely. Top 3 pick, also congratulations. Your best season, though, last year, ended in a bowl game appearance versus BYU, where they absolutely slaughtered you, 36-14. You couldn't even pass more than 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying that bowl games are everything. I'm just saying I don't think there was a big enough moment at Colorado where you're going to look back and be like, man, Shadur and Travis, bro, Shadur and Travis. There was no natty. There was no push. There was no conference title. There was no major feat. Yeah, you went from 1-11 to winning 5 to 6 games the next year and then going 500 and making a bowl game the following year, getting smushed in it. I mean, I'm glad that they were able to translate success. I'm glad that Shadur is going to be in a situation probably in New Orleans helping out the Saints and kicking out Derek Carr. And then Travis Hunter is going to be in a situation where he's probably going to play both sides of the ball and be one of the biggest talents that you've seen in the NFL in a long time. That's all true. I just don't know if I'm on the side of retiring jerseys for people that didn't necessarily build a huge legacy at Colorado. I'm not sure Travis Hunter's got the Heisman and all that. And I'm not sitting here saying they shouldn't have had it happen. It's more so about the timing. It's more so about that their last college football game was 4 months ago. You've got players, like I said, Patrick Mahomes, who's winning Super Bowls and MVPs in the NFL. He's been out of college damn near 10 years, and his jersey's not retired. Sure, he's in a Ring of Honor. Jersey's not retired. Joe Burrow, same thing. Dude won a national championship, Heisman, goes to the Super Bowl, this, that, the other, highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He's had success out the wazoo as well. Number 9 ain't retired. I think it's a little bit of an overstep. Now, look, I mean, shout out to him. Hopefully Coach Prime can stay and see some success. And then Colorado, the foundation that was built right here turns into something successful. I would like to see that. I'm not hating on Coach Prime. I'm just saying you had an impact. I just didn't expect this. I didn't expect a jersey retirement ceremony 4 months after your departure. They're not even in the NFL yet. They didn't even get drafted. We don't know what teams they're playing on. And we're talking about hanging their jersey in the rafters. I think it's a premature discussion. I'm not going to lie. We got Floby in the chat saying, I hope we retire Joe Burrow's number. Me too. That's a situation where I would be happy with it. National champion, undefeated season. Everybody's going to say this is one of the best teams in college football. Then you go to the damn NFL, you draft a number 1, you go bring your team to the Super Bowl. You're in a situation where it makes sense. Also, keep in mind, 2019 was 6 years ago. 6 years ago. You're over half a decade. You're over half a decade at this point. I know time flew, and y'all probably don't like to hear that, but I'm just saying. Time has passed. It has not been 4 months. That would be like Joe Burrow before he's even on his couch getting drafted to Cincinnati, before he's doing the whole cutting the grass for the final time for his parents. That'd be like him getting the number 9 retired, getting a damn statue or something. It hadn't happened. It don't happen. It's not common. It's one of those things that make you scratch your head here. And I was scratching my head a lot, and I had to bring it up to y'all just to see what y'all thought. Interesting situation, though. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We're going to hop out of here. This has been the Verdon Verdict, Sports Talk on the Go. I'm your host, Jacob Verdon. Please hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, too. We have some people tune in today that don't normally tune in. We appreciate it. Appreciate your viewership. Hopefully you subscribe. Hopefully you like the show. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss another one. We'll be live Friday at 9 a.m. Tomorrow we will be back at practice, final practice. Anything you want us to film, drop it in the comments. This is your last chance to see LSU football practice until the fall. We're going to have a brief little period of us just kind of predicting and running around at camps and things of that nature. Manning camp coming up. But fall football won't start up till about July. So, like I said, last look at LSU practice. Whatever you want us to film, drop it in the comment section. We'll look at every single comment, get a list together for you. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for tuning into that stream. Like button on the way out. Please.